There is still plenty of time left in the fantasy baseball season, and if you're looking to gain some ground on your league mates, you're in the right place. In today's video, I'll be breaking down the waiver wire players that I'm prioritizing, the players that I would ignore, and the other hot ads that are just skyrocketing up the fantasy baseball ranks right now. And of course, we'll always recap my last week's picks to see if I've earned myself a punishment. Like it, hype it, bang it. I'm Chris, and welcome to Number 2 Sports. So first up, we have an exciting pitcher that we have talked about a few times who likes to twirl that mustache of his, but also got into some negative headlines this week, unfortunately, which kind of overshadowed his great pitching performance last outing, where he struck out a career high 13 batters. And this is somebody that has made some tweaks to his arsenal, either by adding some velo or a new pitch. Welcome back to the main waiver wire section, Mr. Cade Cavalli from the Washington Nationals. It was honestly the best showcase of talent that I've seen from Cavalli, and kind of what I've been saying all year with him. There's just legit breakout potential if a few things fully come together, and we saw that whole package working against Boston. He pitched 7 innings, 1 hit, 0 walks, 13 Ks, 25 whiffs, with a 41% CSW on 100 pitches, which is honestly just pretty insane. And I don't care if Boston's one of the worst offenses against right-handed pitchers. It's an insane, crazy line, especially when you consider the sole base runner was an 0-2 double off a curveball to his first batter. The first batter of the game. All this magnificent stuff came afterwards. Okay, so first off, what I really liked from the start, and I hope that it continues going forward, was the velo was up 1 to 2 ticks across the board. The 4-seamers were at 98, sinkers at 97, and hammer curveballs just pumped in there at 87, 88. The increased velo just let the heater play up a little bit. It generated 15 whiffs, which was just easily a season high for him. Cavalli also has just been dabbling with the cutter his last 2 starts, and is starting to work wonders for him. It's that bridge strike pitch that he desperately needs, especially against lefties. It's a pretty much an identical scenario what we just talked about in last week's vid, with Joey Cantillo adding that cutter. The 4-seamer from Cavalli can tend to be an empty fastball, and he does have a changeup, but he was rarely throwing it to lefties, so the cutter does give him just a legit offering, a legit pitch to attack that side of the plate with, and I hope he sticks with it, and I hope it continues for him. If the increased velo and this new cutter stick, I think we have a legit chance at a second half breakout here with Cavalli. You just never know when a pitcher finally makes that last tweak or finally adds that last pitch that just allows him to take off. I hope that's what we're seeing here with Cavalli, and I hope he continued to build on the momentum of his last 2 starts. Okay, next up, we have one of the hottest hitters in all of baseball right now. His roster rate is just absolutely skyrocketing. Bids are ready to blow up anybody's remaining fad budget this weekend. He's the former Offensive Player of the Year in the Arizona Fall League, who mashed 13 home runs in just 58 games in AAA this year. Welcome to the main waiver wire section of Merlin Valdez from the Pittsburgh Pirates. So yes, I know non-weekly ad leads. This guy is long gone, besides maybe some shallower 8 or 10 mans. Just the pain of me only being able to have time, to upload 1 video per week, and just the weird timing with this big playing time increase last week as I was just prepping and posting this video. So he got missed, and I'm sorry, boys, sue me. But Valdez was just on fire at AAA, hitting 13 home runs in just 56 AAA games and posting a 21.5% strikeout rate and a 17.3% walkout rate. All his hard hit metrics were in the upper percentiles, and his expected stats were actually higher than his actuals, which is sometimes rare for a minor leaguer. But enough for AAA though. We don't care about that anymore. We want to know what he's doing in the big leagues. So Valdez is hitting 316, 375, 737 with 6 home runs and 15 RBI already in just 19 major league games. He's playing every single day in the outfield with Ryan O'Hearn moving back to first base, and I can totally see why people are just rushing and drooling to add this guy in pretty much every league. But do I think he's going to sustain this level of production that we've seen from him recently? Of course not. Absolutely not, or I will show some hole. Couple of reasons for my skepticism. Cruz and Horwitz will eventually return from injury. He's sporting a 32.8% strikeout rate and a 37.8% whiff rate, 2 very worrisome rates this early into his MLB career. A 387 BABIP and a 264 expected batting average, which is a pretty significant drop from his actual, are pretty decent indicators that he's got a little bit lucky. And probably the most insane thing right now, the most unsustainable thing, Valdez currently has a 29.7% barrel rate, which is just utterly insane and 0% sustainable. Like, just look at this graph here. Since we're already kicking on him to even dampen the parade a bit more, the contact rates so far aren't all that great. All are under 70%. And if we look back into AAA, he had just a 78.5% zone contact rate and a 71% rate overall. To wrap this up, there's just potentially too much swing and miss in his game that could get exposed quickly once major league pitchers figure out how to attack him. You should add him for sure. Definitely add him if he's still available, but don't be surprised, don't be shocked at all if we see a cold stretch coming up here pretty soon. Okay, for this next guy here, we're at the point of the year where it seems to be a lot of repeats that can get brought up in these videos. You can see it on your waiver wire. It's kind of like the same cycle of guys getting cycled over and over, and I know you guys don't like it. I don't like it either, but when a player is just simply under rostered, or at least I think he's simply under rostered after having 3 dominant showings in a row now, pitching 18.1 innings with 18 Ks and 3 straight quality starts, I can't help myself but to talk about him again. Welcome back to the main waiver wire section, Mr. Troy Melton from the Detroit Tigers. So through 7 starts, Melton sports a 2.05 ERA, a .8 whip, and a 23-4 strikeout to walk ratio over his past 4 starts. Melton limits hard contact, he doesn't walk anyone, and he has a 6-pitch mix to effectively attack both sides of the plate. Solid velo, solid extension, and generates a decent amount of whiffs, with these stats also just being a little bit misleading if you take into account one of his first starts back from the IL, where he went 7 innings with only 1 K. Melton is a great command pitcher. He has a wide arsenal, nice velo like we said, and a long leash really, and the ability to just become more, the thing that I like most about him. I would not be surprised at all if we continue to see him make strides somewhere in his arsenal by the end of summer, and sort of a developmental year from him. He's somewhere I'm just holding everywhere, especially with relief pitcher eligibility for you guys in points leagues. And he's an ad everywhere, obviously, if he's still floating around your waiver wire. So we always got to stash at least one bad boy each video. And a lot of these guys have actually paid off this year, whether it be an IL stash or an NA stash. Guys like Bryce Miller to Sam Antonacci to Zach Geloff. And we'll keep chasing the dragon this week with Charlie Condon from the Colorado Rockies. And the Rockies do just seem to be producing some interesting hitters for fantasy lately, which is a pleasant surprise. Like, imagine if just they were a normal franchise or had been run normal properly in the past few years. It would be like a fantasy cheat code there, with half the players' games being played at the friendly hitter confines of Coors Field. But that's besides the point, whatever. So Charlie Condon has just been scorching hot in the minors. He has a 296 average, 20 home runs, a 1.033 OPS, and just 79 Ks to 49 walks. The power metrics are all solid to great. He doesn't chase. He would like to see a little bit better zone contact rates, but he pulls the ball in the air a lot, which is great. I know he is in the friendly hitter confines of the PCL, but that really doesn't translate that differently to Coors Field, where he'll play half his games when he gets called up. Charlie Condon is really just pushing for his promotion, and I'm excited to see what the man can do at the major league level when he finally gets his number called. My current top stash list is my boy Cade Anderson, Joshua Baez, and then Charlie Condon. Also, quickly here, boys, what do we think about these freaking wings, man? Do I gotta like chop this shit off here? Look like I'm in freaking middle school, or should we keep it growing down to the tits? Let me know in the comments down below. But we'll keep going with this next guy here, Logan Henderson. So we don't want to forget about Logan at all. He had 4 very intriguing good starts before landing on the IL list. He's in his rehab assignment now. He's expected to return at some point in July. He had a 33.3% strikeout rate. He had a 4-pitch arsenal, flashed some immense potential really the last 2 years now, when he pitches for the Brewers. So like, what more can you want? What more can you ask for? I'd make sure he's not floating around on any of your wires, because he legit could be a potential difference maker in the second half of the fantasy baseball season. Okay, and last up here out of this big list, we'll go with Henry Bolta. He was ranked 114th in his last 30 days without really even going on a hot stretch like at all, which kind of just confirms the potential here if he continues to swipe bags. The average exit velocity is great. The bat speed is phenomenal, and he just needs to continue working on his plate discipline, but Bolte has worked himself into the leadoff spots more often than not in that A's lineup. He's one of the fastest player in the league, and when he's in that leadoff spot, he gets to bat in front of Nick Kurtz, who is an MVP candidate on the nightly basis. Add in the benefit of also playing half his games in the friendly hitter confines of that Sacramento ballpark or Las Vegas ballpark or whatever that thing is. There's just going to be better results in the future, or at least hope for it in the near future, because he's only played 45 games in his short MLB career career so far, and I think he's just going to continue to improve every single day. He's definitely a deep league ad option and someone to keep your eye on in your shallower 12-man leagues just to see if he continues to perform, continues to get better, because I do think he has the underlying skill set to be a difference maker in the second half of the season if things start to fall his way and come together for him. Okay, now let's move on to the add, fold, or hold section where I go over players that have been recently added, players that are on hot streaks, or just getting picked up in general in most fantasy leagues, and whether I'd add, hold, or fold them. So first up here, we got Ian Seymour from the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, Seymour Skinner has just been getting the chance to start lately, and I know he's got back-to-back outings against KC, one that didn't have Bobby Witt Jr., and both without Vinny P and Garcia. So that lineup is like very average at best, but still, you have to give him credit for going out there and absolutely dominating them back-to-back outings, because that is really tough to do at a major league level, having back-to-back starts against the same squad. So in that first outing, he went 6.2 innings with 1 walk and 7 Ks. Then he followed that up, going another 6 innings with 8 Ks, just absolutely peppering the Royals lineup with changeups, like most soft-tossing lefties tend to do. Now, Principal Skinner is just doing a great job of keeping his changeups arm side and down, heaters upstairs, and mixing in the sweeper and sinker in between to fill out the gaps. He's decreased his arm angle nearly 6 degrees this year to give his pitches a lot more horizontal break, and the pitches are grading out pretty well. He has pristine control, and you guys know how I feel about soft tossing lefties if you followed this channel, but if he can continue to get whiffs on that 4-steamer and continue to pair it with that superb changeup that he has, and he stays in that starter role, that looks like I don't think there's any way Tampa Bay can really take him out of that starter's role now. I expect solid starts moving forward, and I definitely think he's an ad for 12-team leagues right now. Also, a little just TV timeout right here. I was just watching the Mariners game, had it on the background, and Bryce Miller had a no-no going into the 7th. Really had a perfect game besides that stupid error, but he just gave up the 2 weakest blooping hits to right field ever, man. So frustrating. He was at a low pitch count too. I thought he was going to do it. He was just dialed. Okay, but back to baseball. Next up, we got Slade Cecconi. Now, I'm just simply never going to be that into a starting pitcher who has below average whiff, chase, and K percentages. It's just not in my DNA. I'm just built different, you know. Strikeouts are king, and Cecconi just struggles in that area. It just limits the overall ceiling so much, in my opinion. It just makes the blow-up games feel that much worse when you're not chasing that drag and not chasing that elite outing. But at the same time, I do understand in some formats where there's a decent W opportunity, potentially a decent quality start opportunity, that he can be useful for some certain league types. I just can't justify it personally chasing it in any 12-league team right now. I want to fry bigger fish. I want to chase bigger fish, but I guess I can't fully fault you if you choose to. He's definitely a fold for me, though. And then next up, we got Jake Bennett from the Boston Red Sox. Now, Bennett has impressed in 33 innings so far this year with a 3.27 ERA, a 1.06 whip, and 25 Ks with a couple of quality starts sprinkled in. Essentially a 5-pitch pitcher with only a 93-mile-per-hour heater, but 7+ feet of extension and tons of horizontal run, which makes it play at the MLB level. He can locate a well upstairs and then uses the rest of his arsenal, the changeup, sinker, sweeper, and curveball, just to live down below the zone. He's an elite ground ball pitcher. He's in the 99th percentile for chase rate. He doesn't walk anyone. The foundation is set up here for success. It's just whether he can command it consistently enough to be successful on the field. I think we've seen enough of him in his last 2 starts to make him an ad in 12-team leagues just to see where this goes. Okay, last up for the pitchers here, we got Jared Jones. Now, I'd just be way more into Jones if he could pitch past the 4th inning. Like, it literally is doing nothing for points leagues, quality starts leagues. It's just kind of empty stat lines. He is really close. There is so much potential here, but he always seems to get to a point in his outings where he just fails to finish or put batters away and execute his plan properly, and then it's hurting him. The 4-pitch mix, though, the fastball, slider, and changeup and curveball works, but he's just simply not giving you enough value right now to justify holding on to him in 12-team leagues. He's a fold, unfortunately, and just put him on your watch list to see if he can get unleashed a bit more in the second half and start pitching deeper and deeper into games. Okay, now on to the hitters here. And first up, we got Chase DeLauder of the Cleveland Guardians. Now, I get it, DeLauder's roster rate kind of plummeted a little bit when he went on the IL for a couple weeks. He was in the midst of a cold slump, not really producing, and the injury was just kind of icing on the cake for managers already on the fence about him. But since he's returned, he's had 3 multi-hit games out of the 5 since I've recorded this. He's picking up at least 1 hit in every single game. His plate discipline is still elite. He pulls the ball in the air a lot. He hits a ton of line drives, and I do think he can try and push for a batting average close to 290. I think his ridiculous hot start kind of put a lot of crazy expectations on the rookie for him to begin this year, but he's a guy who can give you some power, have a solid batting average, have some swipes, while also just batting in the heart of the order for that Cleveland team. I would double check right now to see if he was dropped in your league, and I definitely think Chase DeLauder is an ad for all 12 league teams right now. We'll keep going with Owen Casey, and Casey's another guy who had a nice start to his big league career who has just cooled off considerably, but is starting to find his way, starting to find his groove a little bit lately, most notably just reducing that strikeout to a more manageable, at least manageable in his sense, of 26% in the second half of June from his season-long disgusting, nasty twist my titties average of 38.9%, which is just ridiculous. And that will just be the main thing going forward with him. Can he maintain just an average strikeout rate to let that raw talent go to work? Because the bat speed, the hard hit percentage, the barrel percentage, and the average exit velocity all are elite. It's just the contact rates that are just seriously lagging behind and pulling him down. I like Casey if he keeps his strikeout rate in the mid-20s. And I don't like Casey if that strikeout rate goes 30 plus. Simple as that. Okay, and we'll keep going with Tommy Edman from the Los Angeles Dodgers. So he's another guy back in action after a lengthy IL stint. Edman is hitting 378, 451, 556 in 13 games since being activated with also 9 RBI. I don't think you'll get much speed from Edman anymore, but he does play in that potent Dodgers lineup. He has multi-position eligibility, and I think he's sort of like a fringe guy in 12-team leagues. He's a boring but safe option if you're dealing with some injuries or just have an easy guy on your bench to cut. I'm an ad, but it is a very soft one. And then we'll keep going with Elliot Ramos. Now, this section may as well be called players returning from the IL because you know it. He's another one that's back and healthy, and he's hitting again. Ramos has popped 2 homers in 4 games. He has a 3-game stint in Colorado up next, or currently in that section right now. By the time you guys are actually watching this, he's been around a top 125-ish, top 150-ish player in his career, depending on the format, obviously. Ramos has decent power, usually pops around 20 ding-dongs a season. The home ballpark does suck a little in that sack, and he's a subpar defender at best, so the pressure is on him to produce offensively to stick in that lineup, and he's kind of similar to Edman to me, a sort of boring 12-team league guy with a limited ceiling. Again, he's another ad, but just a very soft one. It's recap time. Did I f*** over your team this week? Stay tuned to find out. Okay, recap time. You know how it is in this channel. We'll always recap my prior week's waiver wire picks to see how those guys perform, to see if there's a punishment justified. And again, let me know down below what you want to see from punishments going forward and maybe give my balls a break. So we're recapping my last week's waiver wire video from June 27th. Now, first up, we had TJ Rumfield, and man, the kid just keeps hitting. I really like what I'm seeing from him. He has a great home ballpark with a well-rounded fantasy line. You just got to add him in more spots. And then next up in the Colorado 2-for-1, we had Jake McCarthy, who's a nice source of speed and counting stats. I do worry about the floor a little bit moving forward, as he's never really in his career had extended success. But you just got to keep rolling him out there right now until otherwise. He's just hitting the ball too well. And then next up, we had Dominic Canzone. Now, he's really great for daily leagues. You start him against a righty. I hate that the Mariners don't give him an extended look against lefties because they just need more juice in that lineup any given night. Then we'll follow that up with Dylan Cruz. And I said if the speed starts to show up, it's going to elevate his game just to new levels. And with a couple swipes and the contact rates up, I like Cruz for an ad in all 12 league teams right now and still. We'll keep going with Jason Dominguez. Now, I gave him a nice little jinx, went through a gross kind of cold stretch there. Yankees are on a nice 7-game losing streak as well, so I do expect him and the Yankees to snap out of it soon. I still think Dominguez is a hold in 12-team leagues, and he's an ad in 12-team leagues if he's out there too. The upside is just still too high in my opinion. And then Cade Anderson, my GOAT. Bah. We'll follow that up with Kyle Teal, who's just looking really comfortable at the plate since returning from injury, and I still like him as a pickup. It's like anywhere, I don't know, from like the 7th to 12th best catcher rest of season in fantasy leagues, and that deserves a spot in 12-team leagues. And then lastly, Joey Boy, a little bit of shaky command against Texas, but he limited the damage and got the job done. The curveball was still insane usage. The cutter helped, and I think it was just an off day for Kent Hill, and I think there will be more better days ahead than worse ones in the second half. So what if we're doing a little quick recap here? Rumfield was good, McCarthy was good, Canzone was Dylan Cruz was good, Dominguez was but I still really like the upside. Cade Anderson is still just the the best stash in baseball right now. Kyle Teal was good, and I think Cantillo was good as well. There is no punishment, baby. But alright guys, I think that's it for this video. Another waiver wire video in the books. If you're still here and not subscribed, hit that sub button. I think this video we're getting pushed into the 3K sub realm, which is awesome. You guys are the best. Thank you. As always, make sure you put a comment down below. Ask me anything. I'll try to respond to every single comment, every video. Like this video, hype this video. And as always, have a good rest of your day, night, week, weekend, wherever you are. Happy 4th of July to all my American guys. And I'll see you guys real soon.